Hi, I'm Chris Johnson with the Fuller Center for Housing. I'm talking today with Fuller Center President David Snell about Clarence Jordan. Now, Clarence was the theologian who founded historic Koinonia Farm in Suffolk County, Georgia. And Clarence planted a lot of seeds in the dirt at Koinonia, but he also planted a lot of seeds in the hearts and minds of people. One of those people was Millard Fuller, with whom he planted the seed of partnership housing, which forms the basis of our ministry today. Now, David, we talk a lot about enlightened charity. You preach enlightened charity, Millard preached enlightened charity, but you say it all goes back to Clarence Jordan. How is that?
The whole notion of enlightened charity came out of some of Clarence's writings. Clarence was ahead of his time. You know, it was the mid-60s. The federal government was going through all sorts of programs to help people out, and we've seen over time how devastating some of those programs were. They were giveaway programs, and they robbed people of their will, and it made them dependent. Clarence wrote this in 1968. He wrote, "What the poor need isn't charity, it's capital. Not social workers, but co-workers. And what the rich need is a wise, just, and honorable way of divesting themselves of their overabundance." So the notion was that you collect overabundance from the rich and use it to capitalize the poor. So instead of giving them something, you're making them participants in something. And the whole idea of charity should be to uplift and to make independent. And that's what enlightened charity is intended to do.
Now, we all know that Millard and Clarence formed this dynamic duo at Koinonia Farm. What made that happen, David? Was it just a matter of timing or what?
Millard and Clarence hooked up in the late 60s at Koinonia, and they both had been going through a very interesting time in their lives. Millard and Linda had just given away all their worldly wealth and were waiting to see what God had in mind for them. Clarence, who'd spent many years at the farm, was beginning to wonder about its effectiveness, and maybe it was time to move on. And he also had given away everything because the farm was an intentional community. And so both of them had given away everything. Both of them were in a period of wondering, what should we do? What's next? It was a providential confluence. Two of them came together. You could not imagine two more different men. Clarence was a theologian. He was thoughtful. He was a writer. He was a preacher. Millard was also a preacher in his own right, but he was Mr. Gung-Ho. He was Mr. Dynamo. And so it was a complementary relationship that resulted in wonderful things.
Now, Millard once said of Clarence, "More than anyone I have ever known, he thought like Jesus." What do you think he meant by that?
I think he meant that Clarence lived like Jesus wanted him to live. Clarence was a true believer. He believed Jesus when he said, "Help the poor, reach out to the poor, feed the hungry and clothe the naked." He believed Jesus when he said to love your neighbor as yourself. He believed Jesus when Jesus said to forgive. And he didn't only believe these things, he practiced these things. His life was a life of Christian ministry by a very Christian man.
Clarence was quite the radical for his day, and I suspect if he were still around today at age 110, he'd still be a thorn in the side of governments and religious institutions and his very neighbors. Did Clarence get a joy out of being a thorn in the side of people, albeit a righteous joy?
Joy is an interesting word to attribute. I think he lived a life of joy because he lived a Christian life. He was probably more frustrated than joyful, though, because so few seemed to grab hold of his teachings and follow his ideas. I'd be fascinated if he were here today to hear what he'd have to say about the way things are. They've changed so much, and so many not for the better. So I think he had joy in what he was doing because it was joyful work. He probably had frustration in what he wasn't able to do, in how he could not reach out more to those that needed to hear his words.
Well, David, we appreciate you sharing your thoughts on the Fuller Center's spiritual founder, Clarence Jordan, born on this day, July 29th, 1910.